Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. RHOBH Kyle Richards shares if season 14 cast is sick of her. RHOBH star Kyle Richards is sharing whether the season 14 cast is sick of her or not. It has been alleged her co-stars had grown tired of Kyle's constant whining. She was not even sure if she would return for another year, but she did, and now, it was not looking so good. So what does the mother of four have to say for herself? Keep reading for more details. RHOB Kyle Richards shares if season 14 cast is sick of her. Kyle Richards has not had the best few seasons and reconsidered returning to RHOBH. There have been key moments in her run where she thought about stepping down but never did. Season 12 ended with a horrific Aspen trip and her sister Kathy Hilton flipping out. Kathy said atrocious things about the entire cast, including Kyle. They had finally reconciled and now, they were at an impasse. Then, season 13 rolled around and it was all about Kyle and her husband of nearly 30 years, Mauricio Umansky's marital issues. She was allegedly having an affair with country singer Morgan Wade, but maintained they were just good friends. By the time of the reunion, Kyle and Kathy had reconciled, but she and Mauricio were officially separated. Kyle did decide to return, but had to deal with an impending divorce and Mauricio's new romance with Nikita Khan. There are several claims that the cast is over her whining amid her split, but is that really true? Kyle has set the record straight and maintains that is completely false. According to Reality Blurb, Kyle Richards shared that she has gotten a lot of support from everyone, though she can admittedly be difficult. Though they were all supportive, who was really there for Kyle when she needed a shoulder, aside from Kathy Hilton, who is back this season? The reunion is where everyone has to answer for what they did throughout the season plus attempt to reconcile. So who does Kyle Richards think has to do the most answering when it comes to the season 14 RHOBH reunion? Filming for that won't happen anytime soon, but when the time comes, Kyle knows she will be in the hot seat. However, despite all that she went through, she admits that the season was therapeutic. In fact, that was the best part of the season. It does look like this is shaping up to be an interesting season. There are some other tales about what has transpired with the cast this season. Sutton Strack's horse allegedly kicked Dorit Kemsley, so little things like that might make for a quirky season. Kyle Richards, the undisputed queen bee of the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, has always been at the center of the storm. Whether it's orchestrating a lavish soiree or finding herself tangled in a web of drama, Kyle has managed to stay relevant and, more importantly, unscathed as friendships crumbled around her. But as the cameras rolled on the 14th season of RHOBH, a different narrative began to unfold, one that suggested the other ladies might be, well, sick of her. From the moment season 14 kicked off, there was an unmistakable shift in the air. The glittering hills of Beverly seemed to shimmer with a tension that even the sun couldn't melt away. Longtime fans noticed the subtle eye rolls, the forced smiles, and the half-hearted hugs whenever Kyle entered the room. It wasn't that the other housewives didn't love her, at least, not in the way that tabloids scream about enemies and betrayals. It was more like they were tired, exhausted even, of the Kyle Richards show. Kyle, always the sharp observer, picked up on this vibe early on. Being a seasoned reality TV veteran, she knew the importance of addressing the elephant in the room, before it trampled everything in its path. So one balmy evening in Malibu, during a get-together that was supposed to be a laid-back wine tasting, Kyle decided to tackle the issue head-on. The setting was picturesque, with the sun dipping below the horizon, casting a golden hue over the sprawling vineyard. The ladies were lounging on cushioned seats, sipping rosé, their conversations polite but lacking the usual spark. Sensing the perfect moment, Kyle cleared her throat and spoke up. "Listen, I've been doing this long enough to know when something's off," Kyle began, her voice steady but laced with a hint of vulnerability. "We've all been through so much together, but I can't help but feel like maybe you're all sick of me." The words hung in the air like the last notes of a melancholy song. The women, startled by her bluntness, exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond. Dorit Kemsley, always the diplomat, was the first to break the silence. "Kyle, darling, it's not that we're sick of you," Dorit said, choosing her words carefully. "It's just, well, you're such a force, you know? Sometimes it feels like we're all just living in your world." This admission opened the floodgates. Erica Jane, never one to mince words, chimed in next. "Dorot's right, you're like the sun, Kyle. Everything revolves around you, and after a while, that can be exhausting." Kyle, who was used to being at the center of attention, felt a pang of guilt. She hadn't realized that her presence, her influence, might be suffocating the very friendships she valued. But Kyle Richards wasn't about to back down or retreat into the shadows. Instead, she did what she does best. She turned the situation into an opportunity for growth. "I hear you," Kyle said, her tone now filled with a genuine earnestness. "And I don't want any of you to feel like you're being overshadowed. We're all strong women with our own stories to tell. If I've been having the spotlight, I'm sorry. That was never my intention." As the conversation unfolded, it became clear that it wasn't just Kyle who was feeling the strain. The other housewives had their own frustrations. Dorrit with her fashion line, Erica with her ongoing legal battles, Sutton with her constant need for validation. Each woman had her own narrative, her own struggles, and in the pressure cooker that is reality TV, those struggles often got lost in the noise. "Kyle, I think what we're really sick of is the drama, the constant need to one-up each other," said Barcel Boves, her voice tinged with exhaustion. "It's like we can't just be ourselves anymore. We're always performing, always trying to outshine each other." It was a rare moment of raw honesty, one that stripped away the glitz and glamour of their Beverly Hills lives and revealed the real people beneath the personas. For a brief moment, they were no longer housewives. They were simply women, each dealing with her own insecurities, fears, and desires. But this was the real Housewives of Beverly Hills, after all, and the moment of vulnerability couldn't last forever. As the night wore on and the wine flowed more freely, the tension that had once threatened to tear them apart began to dissipate. Laughter echoed through the vineyard as old stories were retold, grievances aired and then forgotten, and for a few hours it felt like the old days, before fame, before the cameras, before the drama. In the days that followed, Kyle noticed a change in the group dynamics. The other women were more confident, more willing to step into the spotlight and share their stories, and Kyle, true to her word, made a conscious effort to step back and let them shine. She didn't need to be the center of attention all the time. She had nothing left to prove. Of course, this being Beverly Hills, old habits die hard. There were still plenty of arguments, misunderstandings, and the occasional backstabbing. After all, drama is the lifeblood of the show. But there was also a newfound respect among the women, a recognition that each of them brought something unique to the table. As for Kyle, she didn't fade into the background. Instead, she found a new role, not as the queen bee, but as the glue that held the group together. She was still the same Kyle Richards, still as strong-willed and opinionated as ever, but now with a deeper understanding of her friends, her role on the show, and most importantly, herself. Season 14 of RHOBH might have started with whispers of the cast being sick of Kyle, but by the end, it was clear that the show wouldn't be the same without her. She was the heart of the franchise, the one who had seen it all and come out the other side stronger, wiser, and more determined than ever to keep her friendships and the drama alive.